I met Kushi and Nate Zucker at CineQuest, downtown San Jose's premier film festival, after I watched their short film, For Pixie, on opening night. For Pixie is an experimental AI short film about navigating the dance of life on your own terms, and won the Open Art AI Award at the MIT AI Film Hack, among several other awards. Kushi and Nate agreed to sit down with me to discuss their process and the challenges involved in working with early-form AI tools to craft a meaningful, relatable story. I'd like to point out that, unfortunately, I had some equipment issues on this episode, and one of the microphones cut out, so I have been doing my best to clean it up with, well, AI. And of course, a big thank you to Adobe for their wonderful AI tools. But, as both myself and the software are not magic, please excuse any sound issues that may pop up. And with that, please enjoy the show.
Welcome back to The Shortcut. I'm your host, Chris Denise. As usual, I don't know if I say that every time, but I'm saying it this time. And with me tonight, I'm going to let you two introduce yourselves. We have...
Hi, everyone. My name's Kushi and I'm a current rising senior at NYU. I study interactive media arts. And what else?
I wouldn't know, actually, but...
Do you like me to give the long one or the short intro? I have them all.
I mean, that's... How long is the long intro?
About a minute.
That's a lot of intro. I think that's good for now because we'll get into everything and everything else. All right.
I'll give you the short one.
And then you, sir?
Yeah, my name is Nate Zucker. I go to NYU as well. I'm a rising junior, and I'm a multimedia artist and aspiring creative director.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me here. So I met these two at the after party, and we had a really rousing discussion. I actually chased them around for a little bit. We went upstairs at this cool VIP.
How did we end up meeting? Wait.
I went to the bar to get a glass of wine, and you were next to it talking to, I think you were talking to the bartender about something, and then
I was wondering,
"Oh,
what?
Who are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Chris Denise. Who were you on stage?" And then you were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I got awkward about it, but you were very nice. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, because now I managed to bug you guys enough to bring you all the way back to my office for a impromptu podcast at, what is it, 11:30?
Yeah.
Little listen evening, but that's how we do it. We're artists, we're creatives, we're night owls. It's a part of the game.
I love it. Yes.
So we were talking about AI because that's what you guys presented. Let's jump right into that. First, what do you guys do? You said you're rising juniors, you're in the film program, but what do you do? How do you see yourselves as filmmakers? I'll take your back answer.
So it's a story, obviously, but I got into filmmaking about 2 years ago, and I've written and directed about 9 to 10 short films of my own so far. The last 2 have been generative AI films, so I'm obviously excited about new and emerging technologies, and part of where that comes from is my want to direct in the future and continue directing, because the type of stories that I tell are very surrealist, very experimental. So I noticed that there were some limitations when it came to live action filmmaking, and I was like, maybe I want to start using VFX in some of my films because the stories would shine. And that's when I came across generative AI, where I was like, okay, this is a good place to start. It's coming in. Our program, Interactive Media Arts, they teach us a lot about AI. More than most artistic programs do. Because we as artists are taught to do otherwise, obviously. But
there's a lot of pushback on AI right now, yeah.
Definitely. So it's very uncomfortable to sometimes be in that program, but they teach you how to get comfortable with the uncomfortable aspect of constantly adapting. Because in our classes, we're taught about like 10 tools at once. It's a very like interdisciplinary program. You do a lot in a very short span of time, and it prepares you for the world. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. And I want to learn more about virtual production
Okay.
in the future. And I have some industry experience under my belt as well. I started interning freshman year, so
That's a good jump in.
I've been interning for a minute now. This is my I think first semester off after my freshman year summer.
So
So
you've just been like school.
school, intern, like
cool.
at
Yeah.
simultaneous, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my first semester not interning, but I'm still in school.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. Let's jump over to you. So, how did you get started with this? What brought you to a rising junior film student? Also, let me walk back. What is a rising junior? I've never heard that.
No, I'm not. We're not. I'm
Rising.
just a junior.
Okay, well, you said rising junior as
Oh,
well.
maybe
I said rising senior,
Rising senior,
because we're
okay.
about to
Oh,
join our senior year.
yeah.
And
that's what we say over the summer when you're in between the school years.
the
Yeah,
semester is almost over in my head. So
that's optimistic.
we have
We're in the middle. Anyway,
left.
It's March-ish. Depends on what school you're
Calendar.
at.
There's 2 spring breaks coming up. So okay.
But yes.
yeah. I am a multimedia artist, so I started college with the goal of becoming a recording artist.
Okay.
In the recording music program. That's all I did when I came to college, but I was starting to dip my feet into self-directing music videos for myself.
Okay. Oh, so you're a musician too?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was looking to be like a musical recording artist, and I major in recorded music at NYU.
Okay.
Which is producing, composing music, songwriting, trying to be a pop star. Literally, yeah, that's the
Well, I
script.
mean, so we'll give the audience a little context. So these two were up on stage at CineQuest as part of a 9-person panel, I think, something like that.
7 or 8, yeah.
7 or 8 person panel, and there were 6 short films, 6 fully AI short films that were presented before the main feature for the opening night. And I will say yours was probably, out of all of them, one of the most, or very close to the most, straightforward narrative.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because the first one was just interesting, pretty pictures and lights and things like that. And they got more progressively narrative for the most part, but yours was a very direct story. And we talked last night about some of the trials and tribulations. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. But I want to know how you guys found each other at school and started working together.
You want to start?
Sure. Yeah, we took a class. For me, as part of my interactive media arts minor, I just got to take a set amount of elective courses, any course in the department, and that's quite a privilege considering there's so many cool courses. Yeah. I used up 2 of my credits on a half semester long course called AI for Creatives. So it was the second half of our previous semester of school in the winter. Our professor, Tyler Pepple, kind of gave us this awesome overview of the creative AI landscape at the moment, a little bit of like ethical thinking about it, theoretical stuff, a lot of practical workshops and exploration of the tools available and some guests. Really amazing class. It's about 12 to 15 people, I would say, pretty small group. The class didn't have so much discussion. Like, we didn't really meet each other in the class. We met on the last day of class after class. We just were like, oh, we've never talked to each other. Our teammates, Carolina and Leah as well, also were in that class with us.
Okay.
All 4 of us were, but none of us talked.
That's sad.
Yeah.
But I feel like we did talk because it was like this like round table class, and we had so many like discussions, and he made sure like what was great about that class was he like let us talk. It was like a huge chunk of the class was us talking. And that's when I first was like, wow, like Carolina, Leah, and Nate are so cool.
Aw.
I was like, they
Uh,
have great ideas, and it was awesome to hear them. So we sort of connected.
There was a connection out there, but it hadn't been like direct.
Personal.
So the way it was directed was our TA from the class, who's a grad student currently at CP, which is like the graduate IMA program. Her name's Kara. She was a former participant in the MIT AI hackathon last year, former finalist. I think in like late January, she sent us an email to the whole class, like from the previous semester. So this is after the class has ended.
Okay.
Being like, hey, there's this competition. You guys might be interested in doing it. I saw the email and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, maybe I'll think about this, like doing this. And before I could even reach out to anyone, Kushi sent an email to,
I was like, I'm on it.
yeah, it's like, and I was like, this is amazing. I don't even have to like do anything. And I get invited to be on to work on it. Yeah.
I emailed the three of them, and I emailed one of the adjunct professors who was
Auditing
the class. So she was also trying to learn as much as us, and I was like, it would be nice to have an older perspective on our team.
Yeah.
So I reached out. She never responded, but all three of them, they like responded very quickly, and they were all like, hell yeah, I'd love to.
Nice.
So we all created a group chat, and it was interesting because we didn't really know each other well before starting out. But then we had so many meetings, and we got to know each other as a team, and how the dynamic just like fit in. Like funnily enough, it was like different pieces of the puzzle just coming together. It's like one person was able to like fill in the gaps that the others had in terms of editing. The other person was able to do that for the writing. Nate was able to do that for the composing. I don't know what we would have done for the music if Nate wasn't there.
But I mean, that's literally what filmmaking is. It's collaboration.
It's collaboration.
To sort of, I guess, negatively quote a friend of mine, what she, I think, is worried about more than anything is that AI will take away the collaboration. But it sounds like in your case, it's the exact opposite. It's actually very much forced collaboration between people.
To riff on the points I made last night, I think I cited this as a challenge. I think more so it's just a component of AI filmmaking, but it's kind of similar to the way like music production kind of has developed in like making music in the past, which is that the stages of pre-production, production, and post-production have just been condensed into one thing called production.
Yeah.
Because there's not this like blatant separation between the steps that needs to happen.
Yeah.
In filmmaking, we're still kind of like seeing this separation of things.
Yeah.
Because footage is non-fungible. Like you can't change it after it's there. Music, you can like change this stuff pretty easily and re-record.
Yeah.
With AI filmmaking, we're getting to a point where it is one stage called production. Yeah. You can swap out a shot after the film's made. You can edit things as much as you want. What that leads to is the process, instead of going in series of pre-production, production, post-production, is in parallel, not only between those three things, but between every role in the film.
Yeah.
So the timeline and the effect of that in terms of like scheduling is pretty crazy. We made this film in majority of the production was in like a 12-hour block on the day of the hackathon.
Oh, so this was like almost like one of those 40-hour film.
A little bit. We did a lot of the initial production prep a couple days leading up to it, but the day of the hackathon, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., was like everyone was doing it at the same time.
Wow.
And what that meant is the music scoring, the edit was obviously dependent on having that edit there to score, but the edit was dependent on having the shots generated. And the shots generated were depending on having the images generated. So all 4 of us were doing one of those tasks. And it was this big, like, okay, check, 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 doing it all in stages and kind of like optimizing our efficiency to all work at the same time and have that all like line up.
Yeah, I'm much more used to a linear progression of everything in film, and like, if you got your locked cut, and maybe you send it to your composer, while you were still in the rough cut stage, but you didn't really get to it until you got the lock cut to him, and then he's like,
It was like adjusting it as
wow.
we go.
So this was a 12-hour. That was made in 12 hours.
No.
Eventually.
That's not no.
We did very traditional pre-production, I thought.
Okay.
We started 2 weeks before the hackathon.
Okay.
We did all of the writing in the first week, let's say, and all of the brainstorming, all of the testing, all of the previs,
Yeah.
like doing the mid-journey shots. We decided that it was going to be a claymation 3D style animation.
Okay.
In the very first few days when we came together with a mood board, had a meeting about it, settled on some.
Yeah.
You're thinking about
I think it was actually a little more like ambiguous than that at first. We all had really different directions we wanted to take it in.
Yeah.
Visually, stylistically.
And that's a big part of like figuring out collaboration, I think.
Especially having never worked together before.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like any escape.
It was like very ambiguous, I would say. It, like slowly and gradually things started to piece together.
Okay.
After seeing this vast mood board, I sat my team down on Google Meet and I was like, I have a proposal. And the proposal is to use the affordances of AI to do something that would be really difficult otherwise. And to push aside its shortcomings. I referenced to the group this popular web series from around 10 years ago called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared on YouTube, which is this gory take on a children's puppetry, cartoony series, completely like live action shot, very beautiful human-sized sets of felt children's objects and stuff. Me reflecting on that now is that it's so difficult to make that, the amount of time, energy, set dressing, all of that.
Money.
If only AI could create this like yarny, clay, felty look, that would be a really amazing use of it. So I've sold my team on this idea of using the affordances of the tool.
Very cool. I mean, just a quick throwback. My very first piece I ever made was a claymation video in 7th grade, which is, that was 1995, I think. And we used one of those old DV cams with the magnetic tapes in it.
Yeah.
And it was an actual camcorder. And I was like the camera guy while my partner, my buddy, Michael, was the one who would like adjust everything and like set lighting and do that sort of stuff. And then I would just basically press record. And the moment I would hear it finally spool up, I'd hit record again for stop. And we were getting like little frames of that. And it took us 2 weeks to record this thing. And by the time we were done, we were like, yeah, let's put it together. And we had 16 seconds. And
It takes a century to.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of respect.
Yeah. One of my first like animations or movies at all was also claymation puppet style. And that took me, I was in this like early college program with SAIC, the School of Art Institute of Chicago. And the class was called Animation and Video Projects. And after that college program, I was like, I'm not doing animation. And look at me now. Look.
Well, I mean, what was it about the animation you didn't like? Was it the tedious part that you just handed up to AI?
Potentially, right?
I guess. But now I'm like very interested in animation. It's almost like I circled back. Like I started with animation and I was like, after that college program, I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Because it was taught in a structure that was almost like scary because there were people who were like making models in Blender. I had never like even heard of Blender at the time. I was in school, and it was just yeah,
It's overwhelming.
it was overwhelming. And I think like sometimes you like judge something too quickly.
Okay, fair enough.
You're like, this is too complex, and other people are way too ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then you like back out. You're like, maybe this isn't for me because everyone else has been doing this for 5 years.
I feel like that all the time, and I'm 42 and have been doing this for more than 50 professionally. And I'm constantly going, like, I walked out of the feature last night going, why am I even doing this? That was an amazing independent film. None of my stuff reaches that level. Why am And an hour later was like, okay, I'm fine. I went back to the party, met a bunch of other filmmakers, and I was like, what am I talking about? I love doing this. I don't have Walton Goggins and I forget the names of the other actors in my film yet, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I won't be able to get there.
Of course.
Yeah, so I understand the side of the overwhelming side of things.
Yeah.
So real quick, I want to jump into not real quick, but I want to jump into you guys are like on the forefront of this. I mentioned when we were chatting last night, like I've used I'm just starting to dabble with AI in my stuff, and I think it's really important. I think we talked about this as well. It's really important to not fear the unknown and not fear the new tool. And, I think we as filmmakers need to look at it as I think one of you said this, it's here to stay. It's not going away. And if you look at it as a bad thing, well, then it's only going to get worse. But if you look at it as a tool for growth, then it can only get better. And if you don't jump on, you're going to have to eventually jump on. And you're like, I don't want to cut my own job out. But at the same time, that was a long, boring, tedious job that could have been shortened so much easier. And you could have been free to do more of the creative side of it.
If there's a shot with 5 pans and you need to select the best one and you do that 1,000 times, it's like, can AI do that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so yes, I think it's important that we look for how AI can work for us. I think we've been talking about that several times tonight, last night. I'm sure you had these conversations.
Definitely.
You sound like,
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's closer than we think it is. It's almost here. You can definitely like fine tune your own models to understand how you want your sizzle reel to be structured. But I think that's like part of where the fear is coming from. It's like if you feed an AI 6 Martin Scorsese scripts, that's where the fear is coming from.
Yeah.
Can it write a similar, which it can.
Yeah.
With the current state of it, it can. Large language models are like progressing at a very fast rate. The thing with like editing and clipping things together is if you find someone, especially because you live in Silicon Valley, you can find a guy in 3 days to create that model for you very easily. And you can do that right now. But do you want to is the question. What is it about your style that you're willing to let AI do? And what is it about the stuff that you have to do that you don't want to do?
I haven't really thought about it from that perspective. I've only been thinking about it from how can I save myself
Yeah,
time.
an efficiency.
But that's a
perspective.
really, really good point, right?
Well-
Like, if I give my stuff to an MML or sorry, good Lord, an LLM or a video version of that, and I say, here's my stuff, learn from it, and then give me back what I want, how quickly are other people now going, cool, there's a template out there by Christopher Denise that I can just be like, I like his sizzle reel style, make me a sizzle reel like that with my footage.
You're going out of business then.
Yeah, and
Maybe.
maybe, right? And I
Maybe.
think at the same time, there's a contrast with I still have to go get the footage to make that sizzle reel. And the footage I shoot is not the most unique, but there's a style that goes into the way I shoot as well. So is it that I'm creating a template that other people can use? I mean, is that person, I'm a little, no, I'm conflicted. Thanks. No.
What about it is conflicting?
The fact that is me making that template knowing that I still have to get unique footage for myself, and put it into the AI, and that somebody else could take my template and say, here's my footage, but their footage doesn't look like my footage, right? Somebody goes out with a tripod and just gets some nice pans
Mhm.
static shots and says, make this like a Chris Denise sizzle reel.
Yeah.
Well, mine's all dynamic sweeping shots with a gimbal the entire time, and not just random gimbal shots, but I have a specific pattern that I use when I go to these pickup parties.
Yeah.
And so I would think, unless you're also a camera operator or your camera operator can duplicate that, the template you're going to get from me is semi meaningless, because it can only, maybe you can like, I can make cuts at these every
Yeah.
seconds, or I can do that sort of thing for you. But finding, when I feed 6 or 7 of my sizzle reels from these types of events, they're not the same place, but they all have these patterns in them that a very advanced AI would be able to see. Ooh, I'm seeing like what's happening here is he'll do these sorts of sweeps, so I'm going to go look for that sort of sweep. And then when there's a performer here, he does a 360 or things like that.
Mhm.
If there's none of that in the footage you feed it,
What's the
what's the
point?
point? Yeah. So I don't know, like, and at the same time, I've always been a huge advocate for, open source, if you will.
Yeah.
We're artists. We're here to collaborate and make things better. And yes, I want to make money doing this job, and I want people to enjoy what I'm putting out there. But I think there's also a level of, you know, I have to be good enough for that to happen. And to some degree, AI can only help me get there. I don't really think that you said you put 7 Martin Scorsese films in scripts in and say, make me another script that's like this. Well, it's going to be an amalgam of the last 7. It's
Exactly.
really looking forward and saying what's new, what's innovative. It's going, well, here's what I can tell from the last 7 and make up that's basically an average of those.
Yeah.
So I think there's room, but I hear you, because a lot of what we do, I catch myself all the time saying like, well, even as a human being, a lot of what I'm doing is amalgamating what I've seen and
Observe or
what I've observed and
experience it.
experienced. And so while the AI can't really experience things, it can take a lot. And there's a lot of human experience out there to draw from right now.
Yeah.
And there's a place for really innovative films, and I feel like a much bigger place for mildly innovative films that are entertaining.
Of course.
So,
Yeah. I agree with that. I think one of my biggest things about why I'm so positive about AI, even if it can make the same films, like you said, even if it can make the same sizzle wheels that were your past 100 sizzle wheels, maybe it can add its own touch, right? But it's at the end of the day, AI can describe and show you what happiness looks like, but it's not experiencing that same joy that you're experiencing when you walk around with that camera and you're like, wait, there's that kid laughing.
Yeah.
That made me feel so good. Let me capture that. Wait, there's that little puppy.
Yeah.
Let me see that. And I think what makes art is our capacity to feel and our capacity to be an artist.
Yeah.
And no one can take that away from you, not even AI, not even the new industrial revolution that's going to come.
One thing that you were saying about just this amalgamation idea kind of reminded me of what I touched on last night about the idea of hallucination and exponent and exponentation.
Yeah.
So I think people making art about this thing that they experience that's not directly their experience, but from an exponent or from a hallucination of theirs is not new, and it's resulted in some of the most pertinent and meaningful art ever, psychedelic stuff and spiritual art, just to name a few. AI is similar in that it's this thing that's just kind of the next level exponent from ourselves, except it's a collective and communal hallucination. It's this pooled thing. And when you're using the word democratization constantly in this context, that's got to mean something.
Yeah.
And I think what that means to me is about universality and creating something that by nature, shouldn't it be, instead of just my spiritual experience or my kind of exponent, everybody's exponent, the internet. That's what we dump all our thoughts onto. And
Well, film is about connection, right? You don't make a film so that nobody identifies with it. You want to make it so that lots of people can take from this.
AI is a tool that can potentially create the most universal art, I believe, because that's what's it's pulling from.
Cool. Let me ask you this. I know we already have our like closeout, so this is one we didn't talk much about. Is the fear and the pushback. Have you guys been experiencing pushback from people, and what is that like?
Pushback in terms of
Well, I know several filmmakers who are like, I'm never touching AI, I'm never using AI. That's not filmmaking. That's, other negative things that I don't want to repeat at this point, but like have people, and it almost sounded like maybe there was a little bit, some of your classmates maybe is in previous semesters were like, I'm not doing the AI class. Have you experienced that sort of negativity?
I'd say our generation does not believe in not learning about AI, which is really good.
Okay.
Most of the people I know, I don't know what your experience has been, but most of the people I know, I don't know if it's just my circle or the people I interact with, they learn about it and they want to learn, or at least they feel like they're falling behind. There's that feeling that's very common in a lot of the people that I've met is shit, I feel like I should be learning about this, but I'm not. Um I feel like especially the fact that us as students, we have so much going on. Especially at like a competitive school like NYU, we have 20 different things going on. So that's why we do feel drawn to experiment with this to make sure we have our priorities set. We're working on what we want to work on and everything else is, you know. It's a good part about going to school in this generation. But I would say a lot of the people are pessimistic about it as well. Mostly artists in my experience who have been in the industry for 20 plus years, writers, directors who have always produced original work. I remember talking to one of my mentors about, like, I had this question and I was like, what do you think? Like, as someone who has been doing this, she's been a writer for 10 years. And she said that ChatGPT and large language models are spoiling people because these writers are not going to be able to learn the foundation of writing. They're going to ask the AI about the foundation of writing. They're not going to put in the hours of work and sweat that I put in. And I feel like that's going to spoil the next generation of writers. And she's not wrong. I think that's one of the things that I always keep in mind and is one of the things that one of my friends pointed out. And I thought it had a lot of value to it when he said that, yes, AI can code for you, but how will you tell that the AI is wrong if you did not have the foundational course that you needed to take for programming? You're not going to be able to tell it. And similar with filmmaking, I feel like if you don't think you know the foundations of filmmaking well, do not go toward AI filmmaking tools because they have their faults, they have their imperfections. All of us as a team, we come from an artist, filmmaking background, editing background. So I think that helped us the most. The tools didn't help us nearly as much as our own skills did. So I think it's important to make sure that you're getting the information and the education you know you need from a foundational perspective. And then we can start from getting comfortable with the tools.
So, I mean, that sounds accurate to almost anything, right? Know your fundamentals before you start using the higher level tools.
Yeah, I kind of have a different perspective. I feel like one thing we talked about in our AI class a lot was this notion of like when the camera came out, the painters were like enraged, you know. It's like anyone can make a painting now. When the computer came out, it was this tool that just like everyone was like, oh, you can use computer to do that.
Yeah.
These, I guess, just technological advancements that the writer feels is going to put them out of business, or like, you know, this person is like, they feel threatened. I think it's perfectly natural to feel like that, but what I don't agree with, though I do understand it, is this, I think, almost like self-centered feeling that this is different. This one is different. We've had all these, uh, all this hysteria about technology coming up in the past. People think it's going to put them out of business. Something new happens. And to think that this is the one that's going to actually have it happen, I think is a little ridiculous, even if you have some feelings of fear, like
Yeah.
in the past they did.
I honestly feel very similar. It's something that has been, it's hard to deal with your own fears sometimes, but as you just said, look at the pattern of human improvement. Every time something new comes out, the old people are like, no, that's good, blah blah blah, that's bad, and then we expand. And I joined filmmaking right around the DSLR revolution.
Oh.
Yeah, I have never shot a film on 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter or 15 millimeter. Even in seventh grade in the 90s, I was using a digital mag tape. I've never shot anything on real film, and I've never used a camera that does that. I've never really had to pull a ruler out and measure the length to my shot.
Of
Uh,
course, yeah.
and I don't, and the same thing as photography. I'm almost more of a hobbyist photographer, but I've never used realistically, other than the little point and click things. I've never used a still camera that wasn't digital. And I don't feel like but I did learn the fundamentals of ISO, aperture,
Yeah.
and I'm just blanking on my, but I did learn the fundamentals, I swear. But the trifecta of how you get your shot and how these things are composed and what the rule of thirds are and things like that. And I don't feel, I look back at people who would poo-poo right around the time, like 2010, people would be very negative about the idea of like digital cameras that every replaces. It sounds like people from like the 80s who were like, cassettes or CDs are never going to reproduce the quality sound that a vinyl disc does.
Totally.
Now I'm like, are you kidding me? I would much rather listen to a digital master of something than on a vinyl. Like, so I very much agree that we have this penchant to be like, no, something new is coming, run away.
Scary. It's scary that something new is coming. But I think like people who still listen to music on a vinyl, they love the way it feels and the way it's like music to their ears, right? There's people who still shoot on film. Oppenheimer
Yeah.
shot on film. Why? Because it served the story.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that people are so hysterical about AI more than any other invention
Yeah.
is because it's going to impact every industry.
Yeah.
It's not just photography, it's not just painting, it's not just music. It's every single industry. And I think that's why like collectively as a whole we're scared of it. And it's because it's this like new unknown thing. We don't like completely understand how it functions as well.
Yeah.
Which is part of why the fear is there. If we understood it more as the general audience, or if we could. I remember this like one AI engineer talking about the fact that even they don't know how deep learning functions.
Yeah.
Black box.
I've heard that. Yeah.
It's a black box. So if they can't tell you to trust it, the general audience is not going to trust it. So,
Yeah, on a last note, I think this is highly individual to me,
Sure.
but as an artist primarily, I rely on my taste to tell me how to feel about things.
Yeah.
And art is a medium about feelings. AI gives me a good feeling.
Okay.
That's not something a lot of people tell you, especially in the context of art,
Yeah.
design, like just like aesthetics particularly. But AI art and the technological innovation that it can that it like sets a precedent for. I think the films that you saw last night at CineQuest were a good example of that. Really falls in line with my taste as an artist. And it wasn't this thing that came backwards where I saw AI and was like, how do I put this into my art? It's like, I'm an artist. I saw AI and I was like, oh, this lines up with what I like and what I feel passionate about. And that's why I incorporate it.
The last kind of question is really more, what do you want to say to our audience? I'm hoping most of these are budding filmmakers like yourself. or veteran filmmakers like me who are looking for inspiration and looking to find out about the next thing that they can be working on or how to apply what other filmmakers are doing. So what would you guys like to say to them? What are your thoughts?
I think I'd say work on your story first, work on finding your people, work on finding your collaborators because that's going to take you farther than anything else. So make sure you work on that first and then work on doing this AI thing. I would encourage everyone to do this AI thing because if we don't, the AI people are going to keep doing their AI thing and it's going to bleed into our industry somehow because there's so many people already doing it and the optimists are going to keep doing it. So I urge you guys to also be an optimist about emerging technology.
Wise words. Nate?
My advice for filmmakers is to do filmmaking because that is the only way you can make films, is to make them, especially as one man team sometimes. It's quite demanding to produce the film, but it literally won't get made if you don't do that. So I don't know, I guess just keep on doing or stop doing if that is the thing to do too.
Also wise words. Thank you both for being here. We will definitely get your information, put some little links in for everybody to take a look at your stuff. I look forward to hopefully seeing some new stuff on the horizon for you guys in the next couple of years, and enjoy the rest of the festival. I think you guys are taking off pretty soon, but if you get any more time, enjoy it. Enjoy the next thing you do, and we'll see you soon.
This has been another episode of the Shortcut Podcast. If you're listening early enough, you can find Kushi and Nate's film, For Pixie, playing on the festival circuit. And if it's been a while since you tuned in, you may instead be looking for whatever they dream up next. Or perhaps you've already seen it and just don't know it yet. I'd like to thank our friends at Cinequest for providing us with the opportunity to bring you this episode. And I'd like to thank you, the audience, for tuning in. My name is Christopher Lee Denise. You can find me on Instagram and other social media as @LocalCinematic, on YouTube as The Local Cinematic, and in real life, wherever great films are being screened. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.